Hello. I want to start this video with a quote by Paul Watson. It is ironic that science in its pursuit of knowledge may soon lead us to understand that we are not what we believe or desire ourselves to be, that we are not the most knowledgeable life form on the planet. Biological science is provoking us to shatter our image of human superiority. Confronted with new realities, we may be forced to change our perceptions. For the first time in our history, a small group of scientists stand on the threshold of communicating with a non-human intelligence. Probing the oceans instead of deep space, they are searching for an alternative terrestrial intelligence. End quote. So I want to talk about this false human perception of superiority, because it is the wrong path to be on in general. And of course it has its origins, it has its roots, its causalities, and we need to explore this in order to find out what started it and how we can dissolve it today. So we humans, we have to come down from our own pedestal that we have created. This is not going to work. This is not going to lead us anywhere. It's already leading us to destroying this planet, this precious, green, wonderful blue planet. Blue, green, and pink. So we need to dissolve the ego. This is very important. We need to learn to appreciate things, to appreciate the trees, the leaves, this amazing life that grows there, the life that grows all around us. But it cannot grow if we cave into a path that leads away from being natural. If we cave into silicone breast implants and face surgeries, and I'd rather have wrinkles and bags and whatever and loose skin than causing pollution, And I know what the haters are going to say now is they're going to do an insult again on me. Well, that's something I have to accept. That's just the way it is. There are people who have to want to insult, right? But I want people to listen to the message that I have. And the message is much deeper than any of these shallow things. The message is that each of us can contemplate on ourselves, can contemplate in a meditation, can look at the plants and begin to appreciate this existence. I exist, There's life around me. There are other animals and people and trees and plants and flowers, and I can appreciate them for what they are, just like that. And maybe there is a sadness that will come up with this thought, a deep sadness all of a sudden. Maybe there is hurt coming up during the meditation. I know this from my own experiences. When I contemplate and I get out of a frenzied state, like a frenzied state of blame gaming or of shifting responsibility always to other people. I used to always blame my mother for everything. It's all my mother's fault, whatever is going on in my life. It all goes back to childhood molestations and whatever, It all goes back to childhood pain. And it doesn't. It doesn't at all. That's a psychoanalytical approach that doesn't hold up anymore today. We know that we can empower ourselves and transcend that. Absolute, I mean, we can put it in its place where it belongs. This is the past, this is the present, and this is the future. you know. I am in charge of my future. I don't have to cave into religion or peer pressure or what somebody says to me or to extortion. You know, I don't have to cave in. No, none of us, neither the haters nor the non-haters, have to cave into extortion of any sort. We don't have to cave into our egoic needs and the tricks the ego does on us. And people, they want to blame everything, and then when they can't find anyone to blame it on, they'll blame it on the Satan or something. There is no Satan. There is no such thing. It's made up by humans. It's all made up. It's made up by the ego, actually, to control other people. It was deliberately made to control the pagan people, the pagan farmers, the natural people in the Middle East and Europe. And then, once they got their control over it, their religion just kept moving like a wildfire all over the planet, and just did everyone in. Everyone who was somewhat natural. But even the natural people, this is often misunderstood. Often people think that the natural people that were there before Christianity, before they were converted, that they were way better or something. They were better in some ways, and they were worse in some other ways. So we have to be careful. We have to differentiate. We have to not put everything like into either drawer. We have to be sorting things out. That makes it a whole lot more complicated. The pagan people, they were doing child and animal sacrifices. There are still some groups today that are doing this in South America and India, and I think Africa. So those are it's based on fear. People are in terror psychologically, and they think that they need to do these sacrifices to appease their gods. They don't realize that they are making these concepts of this god. It's just a concept. It's just an idea, and then they suffer from that as a delusion. So that needs to be dissolved. This is very incredibly important. Sacrificing someone else for their own needs or egoic needs or their fear or their terror, whatever their reason that makes somebody do this, that is not being on the right path. The right path is the path to peace and love. Make love instead of war. Let's all make love instead of headbutting, instead of going at each other's throats, because that's not going to get us anywhere. Whether it is a hater hating an innocent person because they have something that they might desire or whatever, or they feel like they don't have this or that, they can't get that lady or whatever, and then they think that the other person deserves to suffer, or whatever, whatever reason. And they often don't realize that they have very appealing qualities themselves, but that has to do with unempowerment again. People don't believe in themselves. I know people in my own family who are, I don't want to get into who exactly it is, but I see the suffering very, very crystal clear in front of me. Beautiful people who think that they amount to nothing, and therefore they don't even try. Elliot Rodger is that perfect prototype example of this. It's a real good looking guy, in my opinion, at least. I thought that was the BMW commercial. I thought, wow, they got a nice photo model here. And then I see this guy murdered people. Why? Because he felt like inferior. He felt rejected. It was so incredibly startling and puzzling to me. And then I started to read his book. I'm still going to read the full script later, but it is a little depressing right now. I'm dealing with a lot of other things emotionally, So, but eventually I want to read it because I think everybody should read this and study this, because it's almost like he came here to Earth in order to give us this prototype example, like this epitome example of what happens to somebody when they feel unempowered. I mean, he's this really good-looking guy, and I saw once he was famous through this act, once he got his story got out there into the public, and a lot of women saw his face and all of this. They liked him. A lot of women liked him. A lot of women found him attractive. He was just not getting himself out there. He was just not introducing himself to other people because of his lack of self-esteem. See? The women thought that he didn't like them because he was sitting in the corner with the grudgy facial expression. So they thought, oh, he doesn't like me. Why should I bother go over there? He's just going to be mean, right? So women, they don't want to be treated mean. So they want someone to give them roses and to write them poetry and to flatter them and to not to give them an insult. That's not going to get a woman. That's for sure, you know. But all of this ties back into the same subject that I have been talking about. We need to empower ourselves. And real empowerment is not power over other people. It's the opposite. It's giving up that need, this grind need, this attachment to like this counter effect, you know. We need to, and I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying this about people who want to be this or that or different, you know. I welcome that when people are different, but be courageous. Be courageous and stand alone different. Then stand alone from the group that forces you to. Get away from it and say, I want to go my own path. I want love instead of war. Say that and allow this to happen. Allow in the meditation all of this to come up. All of these questions, they will come up by themselves, you know, all by themselves. Your body is an intelligent organism. The whole body, not just the brain, you know, it will all configure itself into its natural path again. If you give it a chance, if you stop running away from yourself and really go within, go into the meditation. S.N. Goenka is on YouTube. He's no longer here in this form that he used to be in. The form of the teacher and the businessman who became a teacher because he saw that the business was not fulfilling. To become really wealthy like a multi-billionaire, that's nice, it buys you a lot of things, but it's only fleeting moment of joy. It's good to have money, it's good to make something happen, but that's not what joy is about, you know, because real joy, that's what Jiddu Krishnamurti also is talking about, is this, and that's what Ben Goetze is talking about in his Cosmist Manifesto. Everybody should be reading this. It's very important. That real joy is being in a flow of this constant and never-ending improvement. The Japanese call it kaizen. Constant and never-ending improvement, a constant upward curve, a constant making, creating, doing something that is good for yourself, that's good for others and serves the greater good. You know, not these 1 second gratification of revenge and that kind of stuff. That doesn't make anyone happy. It just makes it worse. Like the guy who didn't like the suit store, you know. It just makes things worse. The Martians going against the purple people, or the yellow people go against the striped people, or whatever, you know. It doesn't make them happy to lash out. It just feels good to the ego in that very moment. Then the next moment, emptiness again, or the person I know who used to whip men in a sadomaso club. It was this gratification of a second, and then after that, like a plunge in this total abyss of emptiness, because that's not joy. It's joy is when we are in harmony with other beings, with every life around us, with all life, respecting all life, not just pro-human life. Pro-human life that's religion, that's dogmatization, that's dictation and it's oppression. That's not respect for life. That's glorification. That's speciesism. We need to get away from that. We need to get away from the species centrism. This centrism, the anthropocentrism. We need to get away from. The human species is not the center of the universe. That's for sure. And as Paul Watson said, we're finding out. Well, we're learning now from the scientists that humpback whales, for example, I think humpback whales are the most intelligent being on Earth. It's the most intelligent species that's here on Earth. And there are whale hunters who think they're fish, and they slaughter them to death. And it takes half an hour or an hour for them to die, and they die. It's a gruesome butchering going on, because those are very large animals, one of the largest whales there are out there. And the whale hunters, they kill them with harpoons, and it's absolutely gruesome. It's like being butchered by little dinosaurs. Takes them half an hour to cut us up. That kind of stuff. And the dinosaurs, they were actually better. They put anesthesia into the beings. That's why they succeeded. It's an evolutionary effect. The anesthesia was in their saliva, so when they bite an animal, the animal will slow down and fall asleep into some kind of a coma, and then they would eat him, but the animal wouldn't feel it. But what the whale hunters are doing with the whales, they don't anesthetize them. They torture them to death. It takes a long time. It's barbaric. It's gruesome. And here, those are the most intelligent beings on Earth. The whale slaughter has to be stopped all over the planet. This is absolutely important. This is absolutely critical. I, as an armchair activist, I am making this video as an appeal to the public to help write letters, to stand up for the whales politically. That's the only chance we have. Okay? And then there's a group of people like Paul Watson with Sea Shepherd who go out there and who help non-violently. They go out there and they do what the international police is supposed to do, but not doing. And those are my absolute heroes. Those are the most courageous and the most caring people on Earth. Okay. And Paul Watson is Friedrich Nietzsche's superhuman. That's what Friedrich Nietzsche was talking about. The superhuman, he wasn't talking about like it was misunderstood by the Nazis at all. What Friedrich Nietzsche meant by superhuman, that goes beyond color, beyond ethnicity, beyond body shape, beyond all of this. What he was talking about is somebody who is intelligent, educated, caring. The most important part is the love, the real love ability, and this incredible courage to go out there and to shield another living being from any species with their own bodies. That is the superhuman. And that is what we need to learn from. We need to learn appreciation for everything around us, for every living being, for every plant, animal, person, for every ocean animal, Yeah? We need to stop eating animals. Okay? We have the capacity to do this. We have the capacity to reflect over this. Other animals on land usually do not have that capacity to reflect over this, but humans have, and we need to make use of it. This is very important. And each person needs to learn to stand totally, radically, absolutely by himself, alone, away from cults, away from religion, away from identifications. Each one of us has the responsibility to do this. We need to be a rock in the surf. We need to be steadfast in our appreciation for ourselves, for others, in our love, true love, and in our needs and in our natural person that we are. Okay? And not cave into peer pressure, not cave into religion, not use religion as a crutch at all. Okay? And all of these things, religion and all these identifications, gurus, all of that is very tricky because it comes in so many disguises. It is being sold to us in movies. And I've talked about this before. Market psychologists like Richard Berman, they work together with movie makers to modify the entire script of the movie in order to lure people into turning against environmentalism, for example, in order to make people think that someone who cares about the environment is an eco-terrorist or something. You know, they will pick up these phrases subconsciously sometimes. They're not even aware about it. They watch a movie like Men in Black, or I don't know what all these movies are called. I had a boyfriend once in LA. We went to this movie. I was the only white person in that movie theater, and my black boyfriend was like sinking further and further into the chair because he realized what kind of movie we went into that he took me to, and he realized that I saw that it was a complete racist film targeting whitey. Yeah, it was a film that was basically, it was again movies that are plotting people against others, it is amazing the kind of stuff that's done in movies, you know. So, and we need to see through this. We need to see through what politicians do to manipulate us, what the corporations do to manipulate us. The politicians are just a vehicle of the corporations. It's basically corporate United States, you know. The corporations are running this country. Karl Marx has warned people about this type of cascading effect. So it comes in all kinds of disguises. It comes in all kinds of forms. It comes in cults, sectations, gurus, leaders, stars, icons, you name it. I mean, everything. So we have to really, really be paying attention very closely to all of these mechanisms that are going on around us and that are invading our brains and manipulating our brains. So that's why Jiddu Krishnamurti says that we have to free ourselves from all of these attachments and identifications, from all of these groups, parties, religious cults, and so on. The ego attaches itself to all kinds of things and creates a bondage. For example, it attaches itself to needing designer clothes. Okay, I've seen it so many times in person, of course, growing up, And I see it on the internet, and it amazes me. It just amazes me how far this goes with some people, how far they lose themselves, their own identity, how far they lose their natural person in this, you know. And so when the person is somehow not capable, somehow prevented from buying those designer clothes, they will feel like a fish without water, you know. They feel like half a person. They feel like his identity is compromised. But it's only the ego that is in despair over this. The natural person is still underneath, complete in its form. That people call it the inner child, you know, because it's still the sapling that's underneath all the layers of the tree, you know. The true sapling. I mean, the tree is always, all the layers of a tree is natural person. But the people, they will put layers of masks on layers of masks on layers of more masks. And in the end, it will be some crusted mask. And you see it with some people who have gone through like 90 plastic surgery procedures. They don't look human anymore because of this BDD, body dysmorphic disorder. But all ties back into unempowerment and wanting to put on this mask of that they think society will love, you know, kind of like in the movie The Silence of the Lambs, where that Buffalo Bill says, looks in the mirror and has this bodysuit on from the woman, you know, has the skin of the woman on and her hair as a wig. And then he looks in the mirror and he says, "Would you love me?" My friend Elsa and I, we kept on making this like a joke, like always, would you, the way he said that. And it's a great actor, by the way. And so that is exactly what I'm talking about, is this completely losing touch. I mean, this is kind of like a caricature, this movie. But it portrays what is happening in our society. And I mean, somebody who has a distorted face, or someone who is like, for example, that, what's that guy's name? The Ted Haggard, for example. As Gary Busey's wife lived with him for, I don't know, a week or so. They did a wife swap. That was the best one I've ever seen. The best wife swap there. Definitely one of the coolest women in the world. She pointed that out to him right away. She says, "What's up with that smirk, with that smile?" You know, I saw it a long time ago, and I just couldn't understand how somebody can have such a frozen mask, you know. My mother wanted me to smile more in my videos. How can I smile when I talk about something that's very serious? Why should I put on a mask, you know? To appeal more to people? If I wanted to do this, I'd show my boobs, you know. Why should I do this? Why should I cater to society's needs, you know? Why should I do this? I am true to myself. I am who I am. That's my message. You know, it's like I don't understand any of this. Are these people all that detached from the truth? You know, I want my mother to understand this, to love herself the way she is. She's moved so far away. She has built all these layers of masks around herself. That's very sad, extremely sad. Where is the real person underneath, you know? The real you, you know? The real you doesn't want any of this bullshit. The real you, your body cells, they don't want to hate someone else because they have more or less pigments. They don't hate you because you are striped or have flower patterns on you. Or whatever. Dots. Polka dots or whatever, you know, or squares. The real you, when you are in tune, in total synchronicity with your body cells, you love all life, all of it. The green leaves, the green rhododendron leaves next to me, the cedar tree, the Granford trees, this amazing, the birch tree, all of these amazing plants, yeah, these amazing lilies that are growing out there. That's life. That is flowing life. That life does not get swept away by ego. It doesn't have that neocortex that creates ego and all of this. Yeah, they're lucky that they don't have that. But we can come to our senses, and we have enough brain power to see through this and to get away from it. We have that ability to do it. And the Vipassana meditation is one amazing example. It's one of the best meditations out there. They have used this meditation technique with great success. There's this amazing lady in India who is arranging to have Vipassana meditation now be put into all prisons, and they are helping one person after another with this. And the people, they start to realize while they're sitting there in silence and going within themselves and focusing on the breath that comes in and goes out, they realize all of these things all of a sudden. All of this comes up and tears flow, and that's good. It's extremely liberating for the whole biological systems when the tears are flowing. I know because I've done primal therapy, I know how important it is to become you and let the tears flow. So, and the same goes to somebody who identifies themselves with whatever clothes, the group that they want to belong to, or to the religion they want to belong to, or any kind of unnatural identification. So, or car, the Ferrari they drive, for example. I've seen it all. I've seen all of these people. I've seen it in Germany, and I've seen it in the United States. It's good. It's not bad to have a Ferrari, but to identify yourself with that's where the mask comes in. Yeah. That's not your identity. Your identity is not to be a tough macho guy or someone who is real hardcore tough or brutal. Even the slogan like this, stay brutal, it's all has to do with that same thing. It's all the same. It comes from the same thing. It comes from this group identity type of stuff. So it is important to question all of this and allow the ground to slip away from under your feet. Allow yourself to go into this abyss, this new territory, okay? The pathless path. Okay? Let's go to that and explore who we each really are. Okay? So, and all of this is basically the same thing. The identifications have to be dissolved together with the ego. When the identifications dissolve, the ego gets mad, and then the ego dissolves as well. Because the ego is a defense mechanism. It is helpful, like when you are a child and you are abused and you have a strong ego, you will probably survive. But later on, this ego, this defense mechanism, is going to be standing in your own way. And it can be dissolved. It is absolutely possible. So when we begin to dissolve those fake identities and contemplate on who we really are, each person, underneath the masks, we will develop compassion. I am very sure and very certain about this. I'm very confident about this outcome. Okay? So the Vipassana meditation is definitely one of the best. And I listen to S.N. Goenka on YouTube, and I follow his instructions on how to focus on the breath and how to go within. And I also listen to Eckhart Tolle, and I listen to Jiddu Krishnamurti. And Jiddu Krishnamurti has helped me through very hard times in 2012. Without him, I may not have made it. I don't know. I may have committed suicide. So these amazing archived presentations from him in Ojai and in other places in England as well, they are so precious for us humans. And there is a group, the Jiddu Krishnamurti archive in Ojai, where he used to live. His house is now like a museum. People can go there and they can listen to his presentations. They're all there in this house to watch on video and audio, and his books also to read. I am so deeply grateful for this group that preserves this absolutely vital information. It is the information of the Buddha himself. Yeah, I personally, that's why I make these videos. I've been through hell and back, and that is why I want to share my insights, because I have been there. I've been where so many people have been and are. Okay? So I know what it means to suffer from depression and fear and terror, and all these egoic attachments and all these things that lure us in, all these deviations from our natural path, basically. So we have to come back to the root of who we each as a person really are. So take care.